So let's talk about all of it now with former federal prosecutor Neama Rahmani, president at West Coast Trial Lawyers. Thanks for being with us, Neama. Let's start with this news about Mark Meadows. Just breaking here recently, sources told ABC News that former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has spoken to special counsel Jack Smith multiple times this year after Smith promised immunity to testify. So is that a good indicator Meadows will flip in Georgia?
I think so. And there were reports that Meadows was trying to strike a deal before he tried to move his Georgia state case to federal court. Of course, that was unsuccessful. But as the closest member of Trump's inner circle, both Jack Smith and Fani Willis will want someone like Meadows to flip, regardless of whether he's an unindicted co-conspirator in D.C. or a charged defendant in Atlanta. That is going to be a key witness in both cases.
In late 2021, Meadows released a memoir where he seemed to support the former president's claim that the election was stolen. So how can prosecutors be sure they can trust him?
Well, the defense is going to argue that he's just lying to save himself and pleading guilty to avoid jail time. But that's something that prosecutors routinely work with, cooperating co-defendants, rats, snitches, whatever the defense wants to call them. But ultimately, what Donald Trump said and what was said to him is critically important in the election fraud case. Prosecutors need to prove that he knew he lost the election and he wanted to overturn the results anyway. So folks like Meadows, who had direct contact with the former president, that are going to be able to testify as to his state of mind are going to be critical in this case.
All right, we had a few Trump legal headlines today. Let's turn to Jenna Ellis's plea deal in Georgia. This is the fourth domino to fall here. If these plea deals keep coming down, what does your crystal ball say about how this ends for other defendants, from Rudy Giuliani to former President Trump?
We talked about Meadows, but I wouldn't be surprised if Giuliani pleads and pleads soon, because the defendants see the writing on the wall. These aren't career criminals. These are lawyers. They've never spent even a night in prison. And when someone like Jenna Ellis posts that, Donald Trump isn't paying for my legal fees, Rudy Giuliani's in the same boat. He's reportedly in poor financial shape. He's dealing with a defamation lawsuit and judgment. He's had to turn over his finances. It is going to be very expensive for him to litigate this case. And really, what's the end result? The reason 98% of criminal defendants plead guilty is because the offer is too good to pass up. And whether it's a misdemeanor or a no-time felony, I expect someone like Rudy Giuliani to take that deal, then to roll the dice, have to spend tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal fees at trial, and maybe look at a sentence in Georgia State Prison.
And I want to ask, what do you make of the defense legal team saying that this RICO case is nothing more than a bargaining chip for DA Willis?
Well, that's true. And the reason that prosecutors sometimes charge more serious offenses is to leverage a plea deal from defendants. I mean, it's that criminal exposure that brings them to the table and the threat of getting convicted at trial. But, regardless of the outcome, this is bad news for the former president. And you called it a domino, and I agree. There's no way that Fani Willis wanted to charge 19 defendants in this case. Try 19 defendants. She wanted to charge 19 defendants and get 18 plea deals and take one defendant to trial, and that's Donald Trump. And, even though she took a kitchen sink approach and Jack Smith took a more surgical approach, they really want to get to the same result. Have everyone cooperate against Donald Trump. And those dominoes are falling right now in a way that's really bad for the former president.
All right, Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor, thank you so much for your time this evening.